5 on Your Side at 10 starts now.
Controversial closures.
You have to let that past go, and you have to build for the next generation of kids.
It's not only unfair, but it's not correct.
Tonight, the first public discussion on the plan to close more than half of St. Louis public schools.
Stifling humidity pushes that heat index above 110 degrees once again tomorrow for some of us. Why we may have to wait until next week before any real relief arrives.
A smaller pot.
Consumers were served through this by not having to levy additional taxes.
The state's high court ruling, disappointing counties and delighting dispensaries.
5 on Your Side starts now with a weather impact alert.
The bi-state and blistering heat go hand in hand this week. We are in a weather impact alert the next couple of days because of triple-digit temperatures. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. Let's get straight over to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, who has been tracking this dangerous heat wave.
We had a little bit of a break yesterday because of yesterday morning's thunderstorms. Today, we got no break. And this evening, we only saw isolated showers and storms, and that didn't give us much of a break at all. Your peak heat index values this afternoon, in many cases, above 110 degrees. Scott Air Force Base takes the prize at 114 degrees this afternoon. That heat is actually going to be as intense, if not a little more so, tomorrow afternoon and right on into Thursday afternoon. This is when it peaks for the next 2 days. Not saying there's going to be a lot of relief as we work our way towards Friday into the weekend, and we may extend our weather impact alert. But for the time being, you just need to know that it is not cooling off at night, especially in town. We're staying around 80 for the next few mornings, and then it quickly warms above 90 degrees, and we are feeling like we're above 100 by lunchtime, both tomorrow and Thursday, quite possibly Friday into the weekend. You gotta stay hydrated. We definitely all need a little extra water during this time. Check on your friends and neighbors, especially the older folks. Make sure they are using that air conditioner and spend some time in air conditioning. If you're working outside, take frequent breaks. We know we're a little more acclimated to the heat, but this kind of heat over this length of period really starts to wear on our bodies. We'll see you in a few minutes, and we'll talk about any options for relief to come.
And we have a list of cooling centers and other tips to stay cool. For that info, just text the word heat to 314-425-5355.
Tonight, the St. Louis Public School Board heard an updated presentation on a new master plan that could totally change the district as we know it.
It projects dozens of school closures by next year. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barcheski has been taking a closer look at the extensive report.
Mike and Kelly, one of the biggest reasons this architecture firm is suggesting more than half of the schools in the district close is population loss in the city, and their projections show will decline even more over the next 10 years.
The latest master plan presented to the St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education suggests closing a total of 37 out of 68 schools across the district. That's 27 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, and a previous report said they wouldn't close any high schools, but the latest one shows 5 high schools would close. It doesn't say specifically which ones.
To achieve these objectives, the St. Louis Public Schools requires only 31 facilities.
The study shows the city population would decline another 7% over the next 10 years, and student enrollment would decline another 30% at the same time. Right now, they have about 18,122 students enrolled when they have the capacity to enroll more than 30,000 students.
Which gives us a total district-wide utilization of 52.4%. That's 1 out of every 2 chairs in the classrooms are empty.
There is concern the damage from the May 16th tornado to the schools and students' homes will only increase the likelihood they leave the district. $63 million has already been spent due to the tornado. The planners say historically natural disasters drastically change enrollment. They used Hurricane Katrina as an example.
It's important to note that over the next 7 or 8 years, that enrollment increased, but it never got back to pre-Katrina levels.
The district has a fleet of aging schools. The average age of these school buildings is 79 years old. To keep them all going, the district would have to spend roughly $1.8 billion over the next 20 years.
That money can be better repurposed for the things we're talking about. So at the end of the day, the children of the city of St. Louis will realize the value of the hard choices that you have to make now.
By closing 37 schools, the study estimates the district would save more than $42 million in the 26-27 school year. But the plan will include constructing new schools, so it's not just about taking away from the district.
When you consolidate and drive the enrollment figures up, the building gets adequately staffed at that point, and now every student in every school has the resources they need to learn consistently across the district.
There are some things I want to make sure people know. This is not the final plan, and they are not at the point of actually recommending these moves to the district. There will be some changes, and the board says they're not making any decisions on this yet, and no schools have been specifically identified as closing.
Just hours ago, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey announced a new lawsuit against the National Planned Parenthood Organization. He says they're making misleading statements about the safety of mifepristone. At a gala in Manchester, the AG claimed the abortion pill is deadly. This lawsuit comes the same day the FDA decided not to restrict access to the drug. Since 2000, the FDA says there have been 5 deaths for every million people who use mifepristone.
New tonight, soon you could pay less in taxes when visiting a Missouri marijuana dispensary. The state Supreme Court just struck down a measure that allowed some localities to double dip in collecting taxes consumers pay at checkout.
5 on your side's Brent Solomon is just back from visiting a St. Louis County dispensary that applauds this decision. Brent?
Well, that's right. If you buy weed in Missouri, you already pay sales tax on top of a required 6% tax and another 3% tax that goes to local governments. In some cases, that 3% tax was being paid twice when the High Court says it shouldn't.
It's very busy.
Over at Robust Missouri Dispensary 3, also known as Field State, the Florissant business is booming.
It's a regulated product, and I think that there's a demand for quality products in the same sense.
But owner Tyler Hannigan grew concerned when he realized the state was allowing shoppers to pay a 3% weed tax that benefits localities twice. One to Florissant, the second to St. Louis County.
We looked at it like this is $3 million a month being nefariously collected, by the entire state.
So his company sued the county, and the state Supreme Court just ruled the county can only collect that tax if a dispensary is located in an unincorporated part of the county.
Just the idea that it would be a double tax.
Attorney Eric Walter represented the dispensary and says paying too much at checkout could cause marijuana users to look elsewhere.
The more we tax, the more we just push consumers out of the regulated market, and they go to the low cost but illicit, untested, unsafe, unregulated market. And that's the goal, is to try and avoid that.
Hannigan says he doesn't mind the tax as long as it is applied the way Missouri justices have now ruled.
Because not everyone uses cannabis, but if the police can benefit from it, if the citizens can benefit, if a park can benefit from it, I'm down for that. And I think that the consumers were served through this.
A St. Louis County spokesman telling me tonight they are disappointed. This also affects St. Charles County. County Executive Steve Ellman saying the same, but adding that the county will abide by it.
Today we learned the Missouri woman arrested for keeping a chimp in her basement had another chimp in her home earlier this month. Tanya Haddix was at the center of the HBO documentary Chimp Crazy. She was told to give up her chimps in 2021, but kept one and lied about it. Today in court, it was revealed she had a different chimp in her home, a violation of her bond. She was arrested over the weekend. Haddix will stay in jail until her next hearing on Thursday.
Tonight, an 11-year-old is in critical condition after he was caught in the middle of a gunfight. The shooting happened yesterday afternoon, shortly before 3:30 in Cahokia Heights. Police found the child on Andrews Drive. The major case squad is now investigating this incident. Neighbors tell us 2 adults were arguing when they started shooting at one another. The 11-year-old was hit by a stray bullet.
I just wish there was a little more self-control, and obviously in instances of arguments that don't even need to be the person's hand. If you're already in a little heat of the moment, just keep it out of your hands.
Right now, we don't know anything about potential suspects. The major case squad is asking anyone with information to reach out. You can call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS.
Tonight, multiple families in Illinois have some answers thanks to students at Southern Illinois University Edwardsville and Illinois State Police. The Cold Case Internship Program at SIUE gives students real-world cold case experience. The program helped identify 3 Jane Does connected to a serial killer. And tonight, there are new murder charges in the case of Truman Smith, who was shot and killed while making a delivery to a business in East St. Louis.
I want to thank all the people who worked on this case, and Before long, I won't have to be calling every month. 14 years and 5 months I've made that phone call.
ISP says more breakthroughs may be just around the corner.
Quadruple murder suspect Brian Koberger will learn his fate tomorrow.
He is accused of the brutal stabbing of 4 University of Idaho students inside their off-campus home in 2022. Kaylee Gonsalves and Zaina Kernodal, Madison Mogan, and Ethan Chapin were found dead in the home. After weeks of searching, police arrested Koberger at his parents' house in Pennsylvania. His DNA was found on a knife sheath left at the crime scene. Koberger was a criminology student at the University of Washington. About a month ago, he took a plea deal to avoid a trial and the death penalty. Tomorrow's sentencing will be an unusual court proceeding. It's rare for someone accused of murdering multiple people to get a plea deal.
It's also the first time family members will get to say their piece in front of a judge and the man who murdered their loved ones. Morgan Romero walks us through what we can expect.
At the hearing, prosecutors will explain to the judge why they think the sentence they're recommending is appropriate. Defense attorneys will have the opportunity to do the same. Koberger can then give an allocution, a statement to the court where he could explain his actions and personal circumstances and potentially express remorse, something the public and family members have yet to hear.
Any victims of the crime, their families, can and will have the opportunity to make a statement in court to the judge, in front of the defendant.
This is where the hearing will be unpredictable. Victim impact statements, one of the only times in a judicial process where victims get to speak in court. Some read statements, some speak from the heart, some break down and can't speak at all.
It gives that victim the ability to have some sort of voice in the process. Sometimes it brings a sense of relief to get the impact of this crime on them or their family off of their chest in front of the defendant. It also helps inform, I think, the judge as well as to the true impact of the crime. In this case, that impact is very clear.
It's unclear exactly when the victims will share their statements. It's up to the judge if that comes before or after the attorneys and potentially Koberger address the court. Finally, Judge Hibbler will hand down Koberger's sentence. Of note, the judge is not bound by the plea agreement and can order a different, lesser sentence. If Hibbler sentences Koberger to life in prison as recommended, attorney Tara Malik says Koberger would be transferred quickly from Ada County into the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction, where he would spend the rest of his days in prison, most likely in solitary confinement. Given how brutal the crimes were and Koberger's history of social issues, attorneys tell me solitary is not only appropriate, it's necessary for his protection.
Families have the option of sending written impact statements to court and have someone read it on their behalf. 3 of the victims' family members will be there, while Ethan Chapin's parents say the plea deal got them closure, so they will not attend.
Ozzy and the Blues.
I think St. Louisans have a lot of respect for Ozzy.
Tonight we remember a rock legend and the note he struck in St. Louis with an iconic picture. Plus, testing the tiger's origin.
Where does this tigers come from?
Tonight we verify if there's a link between Mizzou's mascot and a Civil War group.
The weather impact alert for this longer lasting heat wave may continue into the weekend. Why Wednesday and Thursday could be among the hottest and most miserable days we see all summer.
Black Sabbath frontman and heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne died today. He was dubbed the Prince of Darkness, singing for Black Sabbath before going solo. He later became a reality TV star with his family on The Osbournes. Osbourne became a local legend in 1984 when he wore a blues shirt in a mugshot taken in Memphis, Tennessee. That picture now graces the walls of various establishments in town. A few years ago, we spoke to a local rock radio personality about this iconic photo.
To have Ozzy wear your hometown hockey team's your shirt or whatever, even if it was a mugshot, it doesn't matter. It was just really, really cool.
His family says he died at his home this morning. Ozzy Osbourne was 76.
For more than a century, Mizzou fans have cheered on the Tigers, but where did that name come from? Some claim it goes all the way back to a brave Civil War militia. So tonight, we verify.
It's one of the most recognizable mascots in the SEC, the Missouri Tigers. But a claim on Reddit suggests the name dates back to the Civil War, when Union supporters formed a local militia called the Columbia Tigers to defend the town from Confederate attacks. Let's verify. Are the Missouri Tigers named after the Civil War militia known as the Columbia Tigers? Our sources, Sean Ross, Missouri Historical Society, and newspaper articles from 1890 to 1930. Our historian says the militia was formed in 1864, when Columbia was caught between Confederate forces to the south and bushwhackers to the north.
And they organized this kind of Columbia Tigers regiment, kind of a militia of about 120 people, to protect the town.
The Columbia Tigers did exist, and they protected the town for years. Fast forward to 1890, when Mizzou forms the football team. By 1893, local newspapers call them the Tigers. But even decades later, the name's origin was unclear.
Walter Williams, who was the president of the university, was asked by U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, where does this Tigers come from? Walter Williams was kind of embarrassed in the story because he didn't know the answer to that. So he kind of set out to find the answer.
Theories included the team's black and gold colors, comparisons to the Princeton Tigers football team, or this Columbia militia, because one local claimed that in an 1890 meeting, it was decided to honor the militia. But there's no record of that meeting, and the name's origin wasn't mentioned for decades.
It's just that middle area that gets a little murky and a little muddy to where, it's hard to verify without being in that famous meeting in 1890.
Therefore, I can't verify this question. The answer needs context. The Columbia Tigers militia existed, and it's likely Mizzou's team was named in their honor. But with no definitive documentation, we can't verify it with 100% certainty. I'm Ann Allred, 5 on your side.
What would you like for us to verify? Send an email to verify@ksdk.com. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell's here with the weather impact forecast, and we are in a weather impact alert. And we had some spotty showers this evening.
Yeah, we had some thunderstorms pop up late this afternoon, early this evening. They were pretty isolated, but some of them were in the metro area. If you were in Webster Groves, if you were even in the central West End, we had a downpour there. We had some in North County up towards Florissant. There were spots where you got that downpour, then they kind of drifted off to the east. They've pretty much fallen apart. But tonight, we're still looking at temperatures around the area that are in the low to mid 80s. They are not dropping all that quickly, nor will they. Most of us will be in the mid to upper 70s tonight. You can see out to our west, there was very little in the way of any rain today. We're right on that kind of boundary where the upper ridge is taking hold. And so tomorrow morning, very early, there's a slim chance we might pop a shower towards sunrise. That sometimes happens. It doesn't look like it's anything widespread. And tomorrow afternoon, more likely than not, anything that pops up is a little farther east of St. Louis. These are your dew points across the middle part of the country right now. They're not pleasant. This is miserable air. We're talking dew points that have been around 80 degrees this afternoon. The highest one we saw was 82, and it just doesn't get much more humid than this in any one spot around the Midwest. What does that mean for us tomorrow? This. Heat index values already above 100 degrees by 11 o'clock in the morning and topping out anywhere between 105 and maybe as high as 115 degrees as we go in the mid to perhaps upper 90s. We're thinking the highest heat index values will be in the most humid areas, likely off to the east of St. Louis. Some of that has to do with all of the agriculture and all of the cornfields. They are well watered. We've had a ton of rain, literally, yesterday morning across much of the farm fields here in southeastern portions and southwestern portions of Illinois. So you have all that moisture being spewed back into the atmosphere to add to the southern flow with the Gulf of Mexico. So your bottom line here is we are really steamy going right on into the next couple of days, at least through Thursday. The heat warning continues for the metro area. It could go longer. Friday, there's a chance we'll see some showers and thunderstorms. The focus right now looks to be to our north. If we can get some of that to slide in Friday night, perhaps into Saturday, there's a chance we might have a little brief relief, but it's going to be sometime into next week before we finally get a cool down. 83 right now, 93 was the high, stuck in the 70s for your overnight lows. Again, mainly dry conditions across the area tonight, but we can't rule out an isolated shower early tomorrow morning. But this heat has that cumulative effect on our bodies, right? It's been building up, and tomorrow and Thursday, probably the worst of it. I do think tomorrow we're going to look at some 115 plus heat indices in some spots, especially east of St. Louis. It's going to be localized, but that high humidity really pushes us.
It'll be hot everywhere.
Yeah.
And dangerous.
Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, the Cardinals in Colorado are frankly speaking on Michael McGreevy. The latest on Jason Tatum, and the Illinois football coach had some fun on the podium today.
And here's a look at the program streaming and late night on 5+. You can watch for free on your Roku, Apple Fire, or Samsung TV.
Many people have wondered, why would the Cardinals give Eric Fetty another start? He hasn't won a game since May 9th. I think it's simply because they thought if they could get one good start out of him before the trade deadline, his value would go up. They didn't. It's not. Let's go to Colorado. And I don't blame Ali Marmol. He has to play the cards that were handed to him. Second batter in the first inning, Mickey Moniak, and this is crushed 450 feet, and the Rockies led it 1-0. It was 3-0 in the third, and Ryan McMahon goes to the opposite field off Fetty, a 3-run bomb, and just like that, it was 6-0 Rockies. Fetty was pulled after 3. One bright spot is that guy, Kyle Leahy. He went 3 2/3 innings, struck out 7. He has a sub-3 earned run average. Why not try him as a starter? Rockies win 8-4.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
City SC was sweating it out on the training pitch today. They'll face Minnesota on Saturday with 2 new players acquired from that Minnesota club in Songbin Jong and Devin Paddleford. City needs a short memory after their devastating 3-0 loss to Dallas over the weekend. Here's the coach's outlook.
You know, there's always a quote out there that the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. So we briefly looked back at it for a few clips. We opened ourselves up. We talked about what we need to work on. We were able to be vulnerable with each other in the meeting. That will all stay in the meeting, and we move on now. So not thinking about the Dallas game anymore. It's all about Minnesota for me.
It's Big Ten Media Week out in Las Vegas. Illinois football is getting a decent amount of preseason love, and Brett Bielema is always one for a good soundbite. Here's some thoughts on Vegas and the new landscape of college athletics from the Illinois head coach.
Vegas also holds a special place in my heart. My wife and I met here in 2008 at the Wynn Casino. We don't need any more story to that than that, except for it happened. To now have a system where starting in July, we actually paid our players through PayPal. Holy shit, the world has changed, right? Like, it's just a different world. Absolutely awesome.
It was one of the worst injuries in the NBA. Jason Tatum went down hard against the Knicks. Very few things have been said about the recovery of the Chaminade star after the Achilles injury. I chatted with his trainer today.
Right now, he's out of a boot, and he's taking his first steps, and without any help, which is positive. And it's one of those things where anybody that knows him knows how much of a worker he is. He's taken this challenge head on. Finally tonight, a word about the Cardinals, the hottest sports topic in town. Can I say this? Michael McGreevy should never, ever pitch another game in Memphis. I don't care what they're paying other members of the starting staff. In Little League, the coach's son pitches and bats fourth. This is the big leagues, where the best players should play. He's better than 3 starters in the rotation for sure, and he has the lowest earned run average on the starting staff. And oh, by the way, he's 25 years old and getting better. Does it not make sense to give him at least 12 more starts this season in the major leagues to get him ready for next year? Twice this season, the Cardinals brought him up and he pitched well, and then they sent him back to Memphis. They better not do it a third time. That's frankly speaking for tonight. We'll take a break and be right back after this.
An Ohio State Fair tradition is back and more buttery than ever. That is the 2025 Butter Cow sculpture. This year's theme is Pardon Our Dust. The display features a butter cow, calf, and construction workers. The Butter Cow display took 335 hours to create and weighs 2,000 pounds.
A local brewery is hosting its first ever pickle theme party. Schlafly Beer is putting on the Pickle and Pint Fest on August 16th. The festival will feature pickle-inspired food and drink, including a specialty pickle beer. There will also be live performances, science experiments, and hands-on activities. The festival is for all ages and is free.
Sign me up for that pickle.
I love pickles.
I just want fried pickles. That's what I want. But it's too hot for that right now, and it's going to stay hot for the next couple of days. We are talking about this heat lasting into early next week. Not sure if we're going to get a little bit of a break on Friday into Saturday at some point by scattered showers and thunderstorms. It's possible, but it doesn't last. It's going to be the end of next week before we finally get a break.
Oh, brother. There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
Be sure to start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.